It's Naked at Night with Mark and JD and Lance and Rick. And let me just start. It's the day after Christmas with my Christmas gift to everybody, which is before.
It says, I do not have OCD.
And it says it 6 times as if my OCD is just to repeat everything. But here's my gift to you. Before you go pee, just say to yourself or out loud, pee pee deluxe. And it'll make peeing feel more special. Or if you're walking your dog and your dog is about to pee, just go pee pee deluxe. And it makes everything feel special.
All right. I didn't think peeing needed to be more special, but that's fine.
No, treat yourself.
All right. I'll enjoy it.
So Carol and I wanted to treat ourselves. We went to a Christmas Day brunch at a kind of fancy hotel up at Universal City.
Which one?
I shouldn't say the name because I'm going to say some not complimentary things. So we get up there and then we see it. And it is a zoo. It is just full of yahoos from a world over. There was some kid dressed head to toe as Super Mario because, of course, people go to that hotel to go to Universal Studios theme park. And it was just super crowded, no masks. And you may not know this, but the ambient levels of COVID out there are apparently the second highest in history. Some people are saying that 1/3 of Americans will catch COVID during this winter cycle. And I'm like, this looks bad, and I don't like it. To Carol. And Carol thinks about it for a second. We're supposed to travel to see our daughter in England in 3 weeks. And Carol, who normally like poo-poo my COVID, caution, is like, I think you're right. A, this doesn't look that great. And B, I don't want to F up our trip by catching COVID so we can't travel. So we bail. And on the way out, like Carol said, it was $75 a person, which is a lot, but I can put away a lot of food. I didn't eat, I fasted, so I'd have more room to eat a lot of crab legs and big shrimp. And so I could kind of tolerate 75, but on the way out, I noticed she misread it, or else they jacked up their prices it was $109 a person, which meant that if we'd stayed with tax and tip and parking, it would have been close to $300, which is a lot. But we didn't stay. But we're trying to, I'm like, can you validate? And they go, no, you're not staying. You don't need to validate. We'll just let you out. And that never works. You get up to the gate, you put your card in. No, you got to pay $16.50 for being there for 15 minutes. And no, we're not going to do that. We hit the call button. And they said they'd let us out. No. So Carol's like, I'm just going to pay it. I'm like, no. And Carol starts getting panicky in a situation like that. I'm like, just back up, park over here. And I back her into a little service corridor that's blocked off. Like nobody's using that corridor. And she's parked. I'm like, I'll go get help. I'll go get him to open the gate because we're not paying. And then like all of a sudden, Carol's, remember when people would call you a spaz in junior high?
Every day.
Carol, I just put that as my name tag when I bounced this one bar because I was just so used to being called spaz. But then Carol spazzes out. She suddenly thinks she can't be parked in this place that I put her so she'd be out of the way. And she goes, oh! And she roars away and she high centers the car on a little parking block and drags like the car across that. And I'm like, what was that? I put you in. She's like, I don't know. And it's over. It's like Carol sometimes spazzes out. Like she'll spaz out. Like she wants us to move to England to be closer to our kid. And I'm fine with that. As long as I can do my OCD crap any place, right? But she freaks out that we've got too much stuff in the house and we'll never be able to move as long as we've got too much stuff. and she'll suddenly freak out and like throw everything away. Like she threw away all my favorite food because I wasn't eating it fast enough. She thought it wasn't being eaten, so I had to like go grab all my food out of the dumpster. Not out of the dumpster, out of the trash bin in front of the house. And so I think she's got a touch of PTSD. And sometimes it comes out as spazzing out.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, so my style is maybe not to spaz out enough. I'm slow to react. And I don't know, I like to think of that as being cool under pressure, but some of it is just being slow.
I mean, the part that I'm concerned about is that you're eating food out of the trash can.
It was all packaged. It was all in its stuff. You know, the worst thing was a thing of Jell-O that had to be washed off. But it was sealed.
I mean, you went into a dumpster to save some Jell-O?
There was Jell-O. There were gummy fruit. There were several bags of snack crackers.
You're eating snack crackers and Jell-O, and you're all skinny like that? What's going on?
Because I eat with temperance, like at night. You know, when most people binge and they put away like 1,800 calories between like 12 and 2 a.m.
Okay.
I'll do the same thing. But I'll eat like 8 different things. I'll just go through it, but I'll manage to hold it to maybe 400 calories.
Okay. But Jell-O, Rick?
Jell-O this is 0-calorie Jell-O.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they make. I mean, most of the Jell-O you can like. Otherwise, Jell-O is a sugar bomb. I remember I went out for wrestling, and the coach and some dumb kid said, "Coach, what about Jell-O?" And the coach is like, "No, it's all sugar." But no, sugar-free Jell-O is basically nothing.
All right. Well, that's good to know. So, what else is on your mind, Rick?
Well, I thought this could. So I don't know, like I was thinking about like how practice can lead to like one of the reasons that I'm cool under pressure is when I didn't used to be is I've been hit in the face quite a bit. You know, not 100 times, but I don't know, 8 or 10 times. You know, by bar customers. But one time I went out for rugby, and I was so bad at rugby that one of my teammates just thought it was a disgrace that I even tried and just popped me with his elbow in the face. And so I'm okay with getting hit in the face. And that's because of experience. And then I think about LeBron James, who turns 39 in a couple days. And I feel like for him, like time must open up for him on the basketball court because he's seen so much. You know, he's 21 seasons. And so he sees a situation in front of him. And when I see a sports situation in front of me, I just get confused. And, you know, I don't know what, but he must see like Gretzky, that like he could see what was likely going to happen. And then within that space, he could see what he should likely do. And I feel like experience opens up time in critical situations.
All right.
So I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
How important is experience? Experience is incredibly important for my job. And I mean, they say that physicists don't improve much with age.
I feel like physicists, get lazy based on my own experience. And, you know, you may not be set up to have original thoughts past your first tranche of thoughts. Though there are people like Erdos. This was this guy who, he didn't have a fixed abode. He was a mathematician. He would travel from mathematician's couch to mathematician's couch. He'd spend 10 days, 2 weeks with you. He'd take your ideas, work with you on them, and turn them into published papers because his thinking was so incisive. He could take your half-formed ideas and turn them into good stuff. And he did that into his 80s. And I think he also took a lot of speed. So you can remain productive. But if you're struggling for tenure, if you become department head, if you've got a wife and kids, and if you're the hottest mom of my little brother's friends, was married to a physics guy at the university, and she was not just MILF hot, but just hot under any standards. And I feel like that physics guy married to that lady was going to be distracted one way or the other, either distracted by her hotness and his horniness, or distracted by, like, when she, all the attention she was getting from everybody else. I would see that family in particular, there would be distractions.
So you think he might become overcome by jealousy?
I would just think that whichever way his situation went, it was going to be pulling focus from physics.
All right, I see a point. I've come to the conclusion that when a woman is really hot, she always ends up with the wrong guy. So it's just, I used to think that God created women in order to make men realize that there's injustice and unfairness and evil in the world. It's not just it seems like the hotter a woman is, the more likely she is to pick a guy that's unworthy.
Well, when you think of the guys who are going to present themselves to her, it's not like,
I mean, if it's a woman's really hot, nobody's good enough for her. But they don't hold out for senators or for, the captain of the Harvard football team or whatever. They end up with like ordinary guys.
we should maybe talk about the economics of hotness.
Okay.
It's only at the highest level is somebody's hotness distributable to, well, I mean, there are more ways to monetize hotness now than there used to be because everybody's got a camera built in. But for most attractive people, the main payoff is going to be financial security. And that can only be, that exchange really for most people is one-on-one. And only at the greatest extremes of hotness and talent are you trading hotness and probably other stuff. Because somebody who's like in Hollywood, somebody who's just hot, that doesn't get you anywhere. All it gets you is a boyfriend or a girlfriend, right? Because if you're hot and you can't act, then the best you're going to do, you might get some parts, but you're not going to become a star. And the best you can do is to hook up with a rich producer. So it's a one-on-one thing, unless you've got super hotness and or plus super talent where you can monetize and distribute your hotness. Margot Robbie is not only hot, but really smart and a good actor. Charlize Theron, um, Meryl Streep, who, you know, has always had issues in not being titanically hot. I mean, she's beautiful, but was not like, she tried out for King Kong, I don't know, 40 years ago, or Jessica Lange, who was super hot. Anyway, she goes in there and she's in front of Dino De Laurentiis trying out for King Kong. And he says in Italian, okay, sorry, to his assistant or to whomever, oh, she is not so good. Meryl Streep knows Italian and says back in Italian, she says, I am what you get. So,
what does that mean? I am what you get.
Like, I mean, this is it. Like, you don't like it, then F off, fine. We're not for each other. This is, I can't. And he cast Jessica Lange instead.
Okay.
But like, and so hotness is like weird because it's very powerful, but it's not freaking useful except in a one-on-one situation, which I think leads to the injustices that you're talking about. That you like. I mean, I've been noting that resentfully since I was in junior high.
Yeah, always. It's the best looking girl in the school always goes out with the most dirt bag of the guy.
Right, because like the dirt bag of the guy has the impetus to.
Yeah, she'll turn down all the nice guys. I have a theory that the reason they go for the dirt bag is because in the teenage girl's mind, that's the exciting adult world that he represents. If he's reckless and mean, that's kind of thrilling because she's leaving her parents.
There's also safety though. She's not really leaving her parents because everybody in junior high and high school has all their needs taken care of at home. Not everybody, but like if you went to a frickin' suburban high school like we each did.
Okay, all right. So your point is
that you can go with a bad boy because the bad boy is not that bad, and the risks of going with the bad boy, if you're 15 and the bad boy is 16 or 17 and you're still both in high school, the badness is going to be pretty safe badness.
I was going to talk about the something of great importance, immigration.
Well, but hold on,
all right, go ahead.
Because I wanted to get to economics, because this 300.
Well, no, wait a minute. Your time's up.
All right, you're right, but I was getting around.
We'll have
to
wait for the next show.
Okay.
All right. So, but I'm gonna continue with the hotness issue for a minute, because I don't believe I've mentioned my one of the most amazing situations. So there's two brothers. Thor's. My memory goes on this show. Thor's brother, Thor. The guy who plays Thor is Hemsworth. Yeah, Chris Hemsworth and Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah, and there's a third.
All right. So Liam Hemsworth is hot, and he comes all the way to Hollywood. He's a gigolo from Australia. He does what he achieves success as a gigolo.
You know what you're saying?
Wait,
literal.
no, just
literal.
No, just let me continue.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to make a point here. This is where you get excited and interrupt. Okay. So the guy comes from Australia to Hollywood. He fiddles around and winds up getting Miley Cyrus. He marries Miley Cyrus. And at that point, had he been a gigolo with good form, with any kind of good taste, or he would have then settled down like a good gigolo, wore an ascot, and spent his time on the yacht or the polo fields and lived off of Miley Cyrus. But instead, because he's an Australian bloke, he's not Italian or French, he just has sex with all the celebrities he meets. The reason they broke up is that he had sex with every single actress he could get his hands on.
How do you know this?
That's what is coming out now.
Okay.
And Miley even wrote a song about it.
Okay.
So my point is, he's a gigolo that achieves the pinnacle of gigolo-ness. He leaves the outback in Australia, comes to Hollywood, gets the megastar, could have retired, driven around in a Ferrari, and been a successful
But he's a huge
gigolo.
movie star.
Liam Hemsworth, the brother of Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
So my point is that he had to go back to Australia with his tail between his legs because he didn't follow the rules of gigolo. He had bad form.
I mean, there's another couple that seems to be doing okay, though, which, I don't know, I think might come closer to your idea of good form, which is Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
Well, no, that's not.
It's not a gigolo thing, but
he makes millions himself.
Yeah, but
he's not a gigolo. He's marrying another woman.
They're not getting married that I know of, but they seem to be. They've been going out for a whole football season, and I don't know. I'm pulling for them, and I feel like Taylor Swift is like a test of you call it good form. No, hold on. Of your boyfriend skills. Like Taylor Swift, if you're a shitty boyfriend, Taylor Swift will break up with you and then write a song about what you did wrong.
Okay.
And I feel like Travis Kelce, that he may screw up at some point, but he seems like the kind of guy, I don't know, like I watch these HBO shows about, plus it's just common sense about what it takes to be a good football player. And what it takes is like years of repetition, running plays, and getting better and better and more experience so you can open up time in front of you on the football field because you're so deeply experienced in that half second of action. And I feel like in a similar way, perhaps. So I was nerdy. I couldn't get girlfriends until I was like 19. And then when I started having girlfriends and running into common girlfriend problems, which are really my problems for being sucky, and maybe sometimes the girl for being, but I would go to the jocks I knew because they had been dating longer than I had because they could. And I feel like I'm hoping that in Travis Kelce's case, that he is applying the idea of well-honed experienced judgment in what goes into being a boyfriend and can pass the Taylor Swift test by not being a dick.
Yeah, well, I think you got that one figured out. How much time do we have? I want to talk about immigration.
It's 7 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Last week, we've been having this argument for 7 years now. And 7 years ago, I said that we have 30 million illegal aliens in the country. And Rick said, no, it's only 11 million. Not a problem. And so last week I said, well, since Biden took office, we've gotten 9 million more illegal aliens.
And I found a newspaper article that said 3.8 million.
Yeah, and it turns out that newspaper article wasn't counting gotaways, and it wasn't accumulating the 3 years incorrectly. And I have proof here. I said I could find sources. I wasn't phased at all. I found 4 sources.
Okay.
Now, but you stepped on my point. The point is that last week I said it was 9 million more, and you said, nah, it's only 3.5 million.
Hey,
So it turns out that, and then I argue that it doesn't really matter to Rick whether it's 9 million more or 14 million or 11 million. None of this matters to you because you want illegal immigration to be as high as possible because all these people are going to vote Democrat. And so I have 4 sources. There's a newspaper online. They have an anonymous Border Patrol man that says it's 9 million. Tom Homan, who's the former secretary in charge of immigration
Under Trump?
2 years ago, yeah, he says it's over 9 million. Representative Jeff Van Drew, who's a Republican on the Judiciary Committee, says it's well past 9 million now. It's more than the population of New Jersey. And then there's Representative Byron Donalds, who said a year ago that it was 8 million. So those are my sources, and I can find 10 more if you want.
Okay, all right.
But the point is that there's no point in derailing me and arguing with me about the numbers. You don't care what the numbers are.
So I'm going to kind of agree with you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw more on your side. I just saw a news report that a caravan of 6,000 people is making its way to the border. I don't know how big a caravan is to be like a big caravan. But
we had 12,000 in one day a week ago, which is the highest in history.
So I got to say that I want immigration fixed. But
under Trump, it was the lowest in history.
Yeah, but there were some incredibly cruel methods. I was talking with our director as we drove down here about immigration, and our director our director who grew up on the border in a town that has struggled with immigration, with border issues.
Yes.
Says that he would like to see assimilation camps or assimilation programs where you come here and, in addition to other things, I think he leans more to Trump in terms of policy, and you spend a year in dormitories or camps and you learn how to be American. And you can't get out of the camp or dormitory until you can pass a test in U.S. culture, history.
Other than voting Democrat, there's no reason that the Democrats are bringing these people in.
The Democrats don't like.
The Democrats are actually, the Mayorkas actually went down to Central America to help supervise. They have the Democrat groups are actually, there are maps now that they have where they planned out which cities to send them to so that they'll vote Democrat. Now,
Our director, if you can't hear him, is saying that there's been a turn among Latinos. The Latinos have gotten redder, have gotten more Republican.
Well, here's what's happening. The Democrat Party in New York was caught trying to make it possible for illegals to vote
In school board elections.
No, in everything. And they've also found thousands of illegal driver's license being printed up by Democrat organizations. And what they're hoping is that these people will be beholden to the Democrat Party because they know the Republicans will try to make them go back to their countries of origin. So they'll have to vote Democrat because that's in their interest so they can stay here.
All right, so we're going to go to Mark in a second, but I got to say, I would like to see a tight border, and I'm not sure how. I mean,
we had a tight border under Trump,
but no, we haven't had, as I've said a million times, we haven't had immigration reform in nearly 40 years.
We had immigration reform. They were not letting people come over the border.
We haven't had a bill passed on immigration reform since Reagan.
We don't need
the mid-80s.
We don't need a bill passed. We need them to keep these people out of the country.
you,
It depresses the wages for the poor people in America, and you don't give a flying fuck. Democrats don't care about poor Americans.
you know,
You have no,
as I've said a million
compassion.
times,
You have no compassion for poor Americans.
as I've said a million times, what's depressing wages for poor people across America is advances in technology more than it is undocumented immigrants.
Okay, undocumented immigrants take up all the low-skill jobs that low-skill Americans normally do.
I'm not super persuaded
Yeah,
by that
they're
argument.
not fighting with people for tech positions.
No, but tech. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that because of tech that the coding positions are. No, I'm saying that tech makes half of a lot of people's jobs being capable of being done by
not manual labor. And manual labor is what these millions of illegals are taking.
Here's Mark, and then we can argue more after. Mark, what do you got?
No, a couple of things. One, to the director's point, it does look like that Trump is polling heavily or polling more heavily in the Hispanic community. So it does look like that is going on and everything. But I did have a question unrelated to that and that topic and everything. I just wanted to know if either one of you have been swatted lately, because apparently that was a major news story that took place during the Christmas, when Marjorie Taylor Greene was enjoying her Christmas dinner, and apparently there were some false alarms that were put out there, and the SWAT team came out, because apparently this is a trend that has been going on for years, where people will give a false report and then the SWAT team will come and descend on your house. So Lance,
sometimes they'll
have you been swatted?
It's dangerous. Yeah, getting swatted. And I got to tell you, like, I'm very rude to people on what used to be called Twitter, and I don't tell my wife about a lot of the crap I get in back and forth with people, because I haven't been swatted, but I do get a little apprehensive that my rudeness and trollness, when I'll find a troll and I'll say something trolly to them, and then we'll get into it, and sometimes we end up being friends if we can find some commonality. But more often we just call each other MFers, and so it is a concern, but it hasn't happened to me.
What about you, Lance? Has anybody come and swatted you and sent a entire SWAT team to your house or to your studio? Because apparently these are like false alarms, and they can be in a number of places, including California. So I didn't know if you had been swatted recently.
Well, the Democrats are very comfortable using violence against their enemies. This week, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was denied Secret Service protection for the third time. If anybody on earth needs Secret Service protection, it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. But if he runs, he's going to take votes away from Biden. So the Secret Service is denying him protection.
I mean, that's on the one hand. On the other hand, because every Kennedy gets shot in the head. Oh, they get shot.
I think he knows that.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
but the deal is that you have to poll at a certain level, and you have to get closer. It's still 316 days till the general election, and a lot of those the policy on Secret Service protection means that it doesn't kick in until closer to the election.
But it's very convenient for Democrats to stick on technicalities and legalistic arguments. The truth is that they
come from a family where everybody gets assassinated.
They have discretion. The truth is, you as a Democrat want Kennedy shot, or you'd give him the support. There's no legalistic technical law that prevents you from doing it.
Should Vivek Ramaswamy get Secret Service protection?
I think we can make an exception for RFK Jr. We don't have to go by the rules. We can bend the rules, but you're a Democrat.
Nikki Haley. What about Nikki Haley?
You want him shot. You want him shot.
I don't.
You want him shot.
It would just bounce off his testosterone enhanced pecs anyway.
Yo soy Chicano Vampiro. I'm the Mexican-American vampire. Right on. Right on. Right on. Oh, yeah. I'm the Mexican-American vampire. Yo soy Chicano vampiro. A la neta. A la neta. A la pura neta. Yo soy Chicano vampiro. I'm the Mexican-American vampire. Right on. Right on. Right on. Sink your teeth into that song. Chicano Vampiro, JD Mont original. We'll be right back with another episode right now after these messages. Bam!
If you're watching this with your friends,
You'll probably make a joke.
Because you know what you feel on the inside.
Isn't what you want people to know.
If you have to pretend to be happy,
find someone you trust and tell them.
If you get mad at things and you don't know why, or have thoughts about hurting yourself,
Find someone you trust and tell them.
You are never alone when you share.
seriously, people care about you.
It's okay to not understand what you're feeling.
And it's easy to think that you're all alone.
But you don't have to be.
You're never alone when you share.
Don't be ashamed to tell someone you trust what you're feeling.
You're not alone.
You are not alone.
Find someone you trust and tell them.
Tell a parent.
Tell a teacher. Tell a brother or sister.
Or just tell a friend.
You haven't done anything wrong.
Talk to someone.
Talk to someone.
It's how things get better.
There are moments in life we wish we could freeze in time. We live them. We live for them. They are intimately personal. They're gladly shared. What is life if we cannot experience these moments of joy, wonder, and happiness? We want people to experience more of life's precious moments. To do that, we must be healthy in heart and mind. For the heart is where life's moments are felt most, and the mind is where these moments become memories and are relived again and again. It's why we've made better heart and brain health our mission, and together we've made an extraordinary impact. Healthier adults, more active children, stronger survivors. But we are just beginning. Until there's a world free of heart disease and stroke, we'll be there, making a healthier, longer life possible for everyone. You may ask, why do we do what we do? The answer is simple. Because we are the American Heart Association and the American Stroke Association. And life is why.
Make it a night. Lance, JD, Mark, and Rick. So just wanted to say one thing. So combined population of, I looked it up, Central and South America is 600 million, which is like 2 United States, almost 1.8 times the US population south of us. And if their politics is effed up, and you've got, what, like 22 countries down there, and some of those countries are going to be effed up and are, they're going to, a ton of those people are going to want to come up here because the U.S. is still a shining beacon of, being able to build a life for yourself. And it's not all because Biden is going, come on. People have always wanted to come to America because in a lot of ways, America sucks less than where they live.
Yeah, it's because Biden is saying, come on, because he's refusing to enforce the law. He's left the border completely unguarded.
We spend more money on it.
Actually, he sent Homeland Security people down to the border to cut the barbed wire.
Well, yeah, because they had Texas put
to cut the barbed wire, not the pontoons in the river. They are, and as a matter of fact, he's instituted something called catch and release. Now, under Trump, what the Border Patrol would do is they'd catch you and they would keep you and then they would send you back. Under Biden, they catch you, they take your phone number or whatever ID they can, and then they release you into the United States.
If you're applying for asylum,
which they all are, conveniently for the Democrats. So under Biden, this has been encouraged. Now, I can tell you that I don't care whether they want to come to America. All of Asia wants to come to America. We're getting a lot of people from Africa, the Middle East. We're catching hundreds of terrorists. The Chinese communists are sending people over now. It turns out they're finding hundreds of military-aged men from mainland China that are released into the country. Why?
Well, okay, so
why? So that Democrats can get elected easier?
We should do something about it.
Well, we have done something about it, but
we did a lot of cruel crap. We
didn't do anything.
Family separation.
Separation. Do you know that 50% of the men bringing in little girls and children with them were actually using them and selling them into sex selling them into sex slavery? Don't talk over me. The cruelty was trying to get these people away so they can check their DNA and prove whether these kids were really theirs because they were bringing in so many children.
So you bring up a good point, which is there are leaps and bounds in technology that we should be applying to lots of things and to border issues.
The Biden administration has lost track of 85,000 children. You think Trump was cruel? The Biden administration has lost track of 85,000 children because the cartels are bringing these children in with the help of Biden so that they can become sex slaves for Democrats.
Then we should use technology.
No, we should just stop them. We should not let them come over the border.
It's tough to. You can't just stop them by putting up your stupid wall.
That's what we did. We stopped them. We had other policies that were very sophisticated. We had something called Remain in Mexico. Trump called up the president.
Fine, do that.
No, we're not going to do that because Biden needs the votes.
You're retarded that way.
We're not going to do that. What Trump did was he called up the president of Mexico and he said, You are to prevent them from coming over the border. We're not going to prevent them from, we're not going to send them back. You're going to not let them come over. And they sent the Mexican army to the border, and they prevented them from coming over. And that was the end, by the way, of the sex slavery for children. So stop accusing Trump of being cruel.
So fine, do that.
No, we're not going to do that because you're voting for Biden. He's not going to do that. You voted for that. You voted for the 85,000 children being sold into sex slavery.
That's a bullshit number.
That's the number that was released by the Homeland Security Department.
There are not 85,000
There are
underage sex slaves in America.
There are 85,000 missing children. Where are they, Rick? Why did Biden bring them over?
They're not all freaking sex slaves.
How do you know that, Rick?
When was the last time you tried to get an underage sex slave?
Don't make a joke, Rick. It's not funny.
But there are we should be looking at all the different ways to control the border.
We have the different ways.
So now you don't talk over fucking me, Lance. Like, we have all sorts of AI technology that we can use. We can chip people. We can surveil people using their phones. We need to look at all possible solutions, but both sides, especially your side, aren't interested in real solutions. You're interested in emphasizing the problems and then just bitching about them to try to win elections with it. So I want to go on to here. I want to go on.
Wait a minute. You said I could respond.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't say you. No, I didn't.
You said I couldn't talk while you were talking. Then you went silent. Okay. We're not trying to bitch about the problem. The problem because you've got this stupid idea that we're going to use available technology. We had the problem under control with the technology we had. Biden doesn't want to use it. That's why we've got 9 million people since he took office, which is many, many times more than ever before. Under Trump, we had 30, 40,000 a year. And the reason we used old-fashioned technology. Trump told the countries in South America to control their borders, and they did it because he applied economic pressure.
Also,
you don't want to go around. Why doesn't Biden just apply the same policies that Trump did to prevent? He applied
among the things.
No, I should never ask you a question.
So, well, no, let me say it.
You're going to say because Trump was mean.
Well, Trump let it be known that if you tried to come to our border, bad, cruel shit would happen to you.
50% of the women being brought to the border by the cartels are being raped now under Biden. Many, 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 many more than under Trump. So you're for rape, Rick. That's what you want because you want to use the best technology to solve the problem. That's your solution. You don't have an answer for this.
I don't have an answer for that because hold on, shut up for a second, because just let yourself score a freaking point. Yeah, like I believe that a high percentage of the women coming up through Central America get raped on the way up, and I don't have an answer for that. So you win that freaking point.
And the fact that we were defeated in Afghanistan by
you can't. No, you can't do that.
That's 2 points.
Nope. Here's where I turn over the furniture, because you can't win 1 point and then use it to smuggle in another freaking point.
If this doesn't work after this, I want $100.
It nudged the fan. All right, now let's go on to something else because you've got a point. Just enjoy your victory.
Okay.
Enjoy your fucking victory, and let's go on to something else. All right. So, with the brunch talk, I used up my time, but I wanted to talk about the economy and inflation. Okay. Thank you. All right. So, in the olden days, Carol and I used to be able to go to brunch at the Beverly Hilton, which is the fanciest Hilton in town, using a Groupon and get a super fancy brunch for two for like, I don't know, $125, which is not super cheap, but it's not $300 for a less good Universal City. Yeah, also sneak into the gym at the Beverly Hilton, which was pretty nice. And yeah, I mean, unless they have a card key, and the one at the Beverly Hilton doesn't have a card key. And so at the time we went, and like all the gyms closed down on Christmas. So like you want to go to brunch on Christmas at a hotel that doesn't have a gym with a card key. So you can, so anyway, it was a lot cheaper. And stuff was cheaper. And there are a couple things going on. One is inflation. Two is under COVID, we acquired more expensive habits, which includes getting food delivered, which adds like 20% to the cost of your food. And also because, we're like McDonald's is making fancier items. So the cost of you can have a McDonald's meal that runs $20 now with delivery and with getting fancy items. McDonald's is even opening up a chain of fancier McDonald's with. So anyway, the economy is doing well. The Dow, the stock markets are hitting all-time highs. Inflation is down to 3%. Unemployment is the lowest in 60 years. But people still don't feel good about the economy. One reason is that, things are more expensive, even though wages are going up at around the same rate as inflation now, maybe even outpacing it a little bit. People have all the jobs they want, but jobs don't cover as much as they did in previous decades, when in the 50s, a lot of families could get by very well on one person having one job. So, Lance, talk about how all this is Biden's.
Okay, so the first thing I want to say is not to trust any statistics on labor, on unemployment, because when they say that unemployment is down, they never include people that have given up looking. So there's a lot of people that aren't looking anymore because the position, it seems pointless. Any job they could get won't pay them enough to make it worth it because of the inflation created by Biden. And the other thing is that under the Obama administration, the head of the employment agency that was supposed to keep track of the records actually admitted that he lied so that Obama could be reelected.
Obama hasn't been president in 11 years.
No, but the point is that the people that keep the statistics on unemployment are willing to lie for a Democrat to get elected, and so I don't trust anything that I hear, any of the numbers that are fed to me by CNN about the economy. What I know is everybody is miserable about the economy. I've spoken with probably a dozen people that voted for Biden and are now saying, you know what, I misjudged Trump. Things really were better economically under Trump. He really did seem to know what to do with the economy, being a businessman. And
America's worst business.
Okay. He was a billionaire, okay? And
Trump lost more money, more billions of dollars between 1985 and 2015 than any other American.
Okay. Trump is a billionaire, and I don't care that you use that Democrat talking point. I know that
it's my own. I came up with that myself. I know that
I know that the economy was better under Trump, and I actually believe that what the year that we had that was bad, 2020, was because the Democrats locked down New York, California, and several other states on the excuse of the pandemic. I think they did it deliberately to sabotage the economy because they're willing to do that.
1.5 million Americans dead of COVID.
No,
would say otherwise if they weren't dead.
It's supposed to be 600,000, and not 1.5 million. And I don't trust the Democrats' numbers when it comes to the pandemic. I think they prevented people from using hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. They were giving them, which would have potentially cured them. They were giving them these
garbage
terrible
drugs. Inappropriate drugs for.
They were
COVID.
giving them remdesivir and these terrible breathing machines, which were killing them in hospitals.
Early on,
and
that was the first wave. They soon learned.
No, they didn't learn anything. They kept thousands and thousands of elderly people stuck together, and when there was a COVID outbreak they brought people with COVID into the rest homes with elderly people.
That was the first wave of COVID, and we're now in the 8th wave of COVID.
Okay, I know you get all excited about this.
Well, that's the show. We get excited about shit.
But the point is that Governor Whitmer, Governor Newsom, and the governor in New York, Cuomo, they deliberately brought people with COVID into the rest homes. It may have been the first wave, but we only lost a few 100,000 because of that. So my point is that the Democrats created that situation. We had a gigantic medical ship that was sent by the Navy that Trump sent, one to LA, one to New York. They could have put all the COVID patients on those ships and not killed anybody in the rest homes. They could have allowed people to use budesonide, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and zinc. They did everything they could to stop any potential way of mitigating the situation. They forced people to wear these idiotic masks that didn't work. And I actually have a new fact. I wasn't going to talk about COVID tonight, but since you're obsessed, it turns out that they found new figures that were new information that the CDC was hiding. And it turns out that they were just as concerned as the COVID skeptics about the manufacturing process, and that they felt it would end up killing people. This is CDC now. This was released by the Freedom of Information Act this week. And what happened was this. I've been saying for 2 years now that I know somebody that tested the vaccines. That was her whole job, was testing vaccines. She's the president of a big company. I know her personally, and she told me she's been going around the country telling people that the manufacturing process is dirty. And Rick doesn't care. He just keeps getting it. He's at his eight times.
Times.
And so it turns out that this week, a paper that the CDC was trying to keep secret was released. And they said, yeah, the manufacturing process is dirty, and it could be very harmful.
And when's the paper
of the vaccine? It's from the
first year of the vaccine, I would think. So, because we're now at the end of year 4 of COVID.
It's the manufacturing process. There was a gigantic trove of papers. The Pfizer papers were ordered to be released. There's an organization full of lawyers and doctors that are reviewing the papers. They found out that there were concerns about the manufacturing process, and it's the manufacturing process that I was warned about. When
did you have this discussion with this lady?
2 years ago.
All right, because we're now, like I said, we're now 4 years into COVID.
It's the same process. Everything's the same.
I don't buy it.
You're still alive. But,
yeah, I'm going to keep like, here's what I'm looking forward to. You heard of the Silver Sneakers program, Lance? Probably not. I'm like 17 months away from being 65 years old. When you hit 65, you get to start going to gyms for free. Like I pay for a couple gyms now. And I've paid for up to 3 and 4 gyms at a time because I've got OCD and I have to just go to a ton of gyms. Not to jerk off guys in the sauna, though. I mean, I've never done it, never been jerked off in the sauna, but I know guys who engage in that, and I have to endorse it because it seems the guys get so much delight from this who are into it, and probably ladies, though that's a different, it's mostly guys.
Are we in your 11 minutes or mine?
I don't know, but I got to say, like, just from the delight people have conveyed to me about getting jerked off in a gym sauna, I've got to endorse it. But that's not what I want.
Okay, next time, on your 11 minutes, you can continue.
But wait, what are we? So anyway, in 17 months, I can just start going to like 8 different gyms a day. Just go doing. It's like Jesus at the Stations of the Cross.
We get it.
All for free because of Silver Sneakers.
Okay.
But what
Now,
I'm telling you is that is only like 4 vaccination cycles away. If I can get through if I can get up to 12 times vaxxed, I'll be old enough to go to gyms for free.
People that have been vaccinated once have a 1 in 1,000 chance of dying from the vaccine.
Bullshit.
We went
Just
over the
straight up bullshit. Straight up bullshit.
We went over the math last time, and you decided it was if you've been vaccinated 8 times, that means you've got 1 in 125 chances of dying from the vaccine.
That's not
now.
True
I wanted
at
to.
all.
It's still
That's
my 11
no,
minutes.
That's
How much time do I have?
That's a lie. We did not calculate that.
All right, so I just want to say, because Rick admitted that Biden is failing on immigration in a dramatic way, and he admitted.
No, I didn't. I'm not admitting that. I didn't. I'm
Oh,
what I
9
said
million
is,
illegal aliens over the border is not failure. That's success to Rick.
that's evidence of not over the border and running free in America willy-nilly.
Yes, they are.
Just because you can find a bunch of Republican House of Representative guys who say 9 million doesn't make it true.
I also have an interview with Center Magazine from a Border Patrol agent that says.
So you could.
I also have Tom Homan, the former Secretary for over immigration.
Yeah, for every guy Republican.
So it's not 9 million.
It's not 9 million.
It's 4 million. It's 6 million. How many millions is it, Rick?
I'll go 4 million.
Okay, great. It doesn't matter. The point is, Rick doesn't believe anything unless Rachel Maddow says it. So there's no, even though I provided 4 sources.
Yes, your 4 sources, at least 3 of them are terrible hacks.
A former secretary in charge of immigration, 2 congressmen, and a newspaper. None of those will convince Rick.
I'm going with your freaking Murdoch newspaper that said 3.8 million, and now I'm rounding up.
They weren't counting up the Gotaways.
Bullshit. We read the article. I read the article.
They weren't counting the Gotaways, and that article was old.
The article was like 3 months old, so I'm rounding up to 4 million.
They weren't counting the Gotaways.
The article included the Gotaways.
The Gotaways doubles the number.
Bullshit, because the article includes the Gotaways.
Okay, but it doesn't matter. I keep telling you this. You don't care. It doesn't matter to you because you were upset. You were saying it was only 11 million. Now that by your own admission it's 15 million, you don't care. You still don't care because they're all going to vote Democrat.
They're not going to vote.
Well, they're already trying to make them. Mayorkas just said that we're going to have to give them a path to citizenship.
Yeah, and that path takes years.
It doesn't matter. What if it takes 2 years? They'll all vote Democrat.
If you look at how long the path takes now,
it doesn't matter.
Years.
It doesn't matter. I don't want them to have a path to citizenship, Rick.
You just hate the Browns. You want the country to stay majority white.
I don't want 14 million, by your admission, people coming in and competing with poor people in the United States for jobs. I don't want them bringing terrorists over. I don't want thousands of women being raped on the way up. I don't want children sold into sex slavery. I don't want the Mexican and people from other countries from all around the world.
I don't know
the
how
Middle
you.
East.
How
I don't
you
want them. I don't want them filling up our hospitals, our jails, and our schools so that Americans can't partake of those things. I don't want illegal aliens to be given $2,000 a month.
Then we should.
I don't want them being given $2,000 a month. It could be going to Americans.
Then we should make America a super shitty place so it is no longer the beacon of hope and opportunity for the rest of the world. We should just make America a shithole.
That's brilliant, Rick.
That's brilliant.
It's highest IQ in America.
It's not entirely our fault.
It's
that
Biden's
the rest of the world wants
fault.
to come to America from their crappy countries.
Yeah, we all know that, Rick. We know. It's
So
Biden.
we need to make America cruel at the border, and we need to make America shitty. So, like when America was kind of shitty in 2007 and 2008, when we had the Great Recession, we lost 1 million undocumented aliens. They went home. They decided, nope, not for us here right now. But nope, things are good in America. People want to come here. And yet it's tough to figure out what to do about it.
Oh, I know what to do about it. We do what Trump did.
Freaking mean to him.
Mean to him. What about the 85,000 children that are being raped right now because of Biden?
They're not 85,000.
Yes,
anyway.
there are.
All right, now we're going around in circles. What's the next?
No. The next subject I wanted to say was before you interrupted.
Repetitive bullshit.
Okay.
Yeah. Mark,
so
talk to us.
Are we past Mark?
Yeah, it's Mark time. Yeah, but there he is.
Yeah, up here, I was listening to that very fervent debate and all along those lines. I've got two quick questions, one somewhat serious, the other one not as serious, but y'all can take a stab at both of them. One is, how much should celebrities, because I heard y'all talking earlier about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, how much should they have a right to privacy? Because the reason I'm asking is because my GBI cousin was working the detail at the Celebration Bowl in Atlanta, and he told me that Kamala, because her team, her alma mater, did not win, made an early exit. And I think there might have been some people that were upset that she made an early exit because, like I said, I think they wanted her to give a pep talk and do some other things, but she made that early exit. So that's the somewhat serious question, is how much do we depend on celebrities to make themselves available to the public? Then I've got a lighthearted question as well.
I don't think, I have no expectation of privacy anymore. I assume, our phones listen to us. My wife and I play a game where we talk about stuff in front of the phone and then wait for the phone to give us articles on the stuff that we've been talking about. And yeah, it's creepy, but it's also, you can't commit, you couldn't do a heist movie now because, especially in England, because there's a camera on every corner in England. You'd have to set it in 1990. I have zero expectation of privacy. I wish I were famous enough that I could bitch about, I've got no privacy. But
Mark, I didn't understand the question.
Should Kamala Harris or any other celebrity expect a sense of privacy when they come to a public event? Because what I mentioned was my GBI cousin. She kind of darted out after the event, and I think some people were hoping that she would stick around and make herself somewhat accessible.
You have a GBI cousin?
Yes, Georgia Bureau of Investigations.
And she said that Kamala Harris. He said that Kamala Harris left a game early.
Right. Early.
Because her side was losing.
Her side was losing, exactly.
Well, I'm sorry, Mark. I don't know what to think about that. I don't think that the vice president has an expectation of privacy at all. I think that, for example, I think that Biden should be forced to take a cognitive test because I think he's lost his mind. He's senile. And I think that every president should be willing to take a test of their cognitive abilities. Now, Trump took one, but Biden refused, which I think is very ominous.
I'm okay with both Biden and what Trump took was a very simple test for moderate senility. I would rather see both Biden and Trump and any other candidate take a more comprehensive test on both cognitive skills and on like knowledge of the things that, well, presidents should know.
But the important thing is that Biden refused to take a simple test to determine whether he has dementia the way Trump was willing to. So that shows me right there that Biden's demented.
It doesn't, like, it just shows that Biden has not a lot of tolerance for playing into bullshit games.
Sí se puede, sí se puede, sí se puede triunfar. Todo mano, brazo, brazo, camino a la victoria. Sí se puede, sí se puede, sí se puede ganar. Punto, mano, brazo, brazo, camino a la victoria. Punto, mano, brazo, brazo, vamos a triunfar. Oh, yeah. Échale, compadre. Tengo alegría, hermanita. Tengo alegría, hermanito, porque cada mañana va a subir el sol, porque cada mañana brilla mi corazón. Ah, yeah. All right. Un beso mío de una nena de amor. 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 Estamos felices, estamos felices, estamos felices, estamos felices. Me curó la curandera del susto de amor. Estamos felices, estamos felices, estamos felices, estamos felices. Me curó la curandera del susto de amor. ¡Ah! All right, woo! Viva Mexico, viva Mexico, viva Mexico, perros. All right, hope you enjoyed that. Stick around for the next episode. JD Monte, live at night, live naked at night. Bam!
I'm Sheriff Chad Chronister. In this day and age, choosing someone you want to date is as simple as swiping left or right. But if you're not careful, a cell phone can be a dangerous tool in the dating world. If you want to safely meet a person you met online, keep your first few meetings public and brief. Take it slow It can be easy to feel like you know this person because you've been talking online, but the reality is they're still a stranger. Keep your emotions in check and your conversations focused on shared interests, not personal information. Avoid alcohol on your first meeting or limit yourself to one drink. For people of drinking age, it's common to meet at a local bar, but alcohol can lower your inhibitions and cause you to lose control. Remember, use caution before moving your online relationships to the real world. Don't put your safety at risk for love.
Just about everyone at one point has had an idea for a product, but the path for making that idea happen is full of challenges. Trying to find the solution makes the process even more complicated and overwhelming. With all the world's advances, we've realized that there must be a smarter, more affordable, and easier way to make your idea spring to life. That's where Gizmo Spring takes action. Imagine a professional team of industrial designers, engineers, sourcing professionals, branding designers with our state-of-the-art self-owned manufacturing facility working side by side just for you. Your very own complete design and manufacturing workforce with factory direct pricing. Whether you need design or engineering help, product sourcing, manufacturing, or just functional prototypes for your big pitch, Gizmo Spring is your one-stop partner to make your ideas happen faster and more affordable than ever before. For more information, contact us at info@gizmospring.com.
Times of transition, whether from a sad event or a joyful one, can leave us feeling adrift. Social connections are an important part of a healthy life. Being isolated and lonely can be harmful to your health. It can lead to high blood pressure, a greater risk of heart disease, and early onset dementia. So it's important to build and maintain connections to people, not just in your family, but others whose relationships bring meaning to your life. Trying a new hobby, volunteering, exercising, even using your phone or other device to stay in touch with others. All these can be great ways to keep up your social connections and your physical and mental well-being. Visit connecttoeffect.org to see if you're at risk of social isolation and find ways to get connected. This message is brought to you by United Healthcare and AARP Foundation.
Make it at night. Lance, Rick, JD, Mark. Too much coffee. So my wife has been looking at in detail and thinking about the relationship between my parents, who fell in love in 1955 deeply, deeply, passionately, and hated each other by 1960. And my dad was in Strategic Air Command. And yes, strategery, yes. These guys flew around the largest nuclear weapons ever flown around ever. 15 megaton H-bombs, hydrogen bombs, city killers, 1,000 times more powerful than the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs. 25 feet long, 5-6 feet in diameter, weighed 20 tons. And my dad who couldn't even stay awake through a movie was the navigator on these missions, flying these bombs that if one had ever dropped on a city, would have killed as many millions of people as were in that city, would have had a fireball 6 miles in diameter, just immense. And he was out of the Strategic Air Command for a year and living in Albuquerque, married to my mom, when Strategic Air Command dropped one of these bombs on Albuquerque. Luckily, only the dynamite part, the conventional explosives went off and killed nobody, blew up a cow, according to one article. Did not, but it would have obliterated Albuquerque, and I wouldn't be here.
By mistake.
They were landing, and when the bomb weighed so much that they had to make themselves able to release the bomb if the plane was about to crash. So upon landing, there was only one lever away from releasing the bomb. And apparently the guy who was in charge of doing this caught his zipper pull on the release lever, pulled it, bomb dropped into a field south of Albuquerque when the plane was 1,700 feet above the ground.
This was your father's plane?
No, he'd been out by about a year, but he would have been blown up along with everybody else in Albuquerque if the thing had detonated in a nuclear way, which was impossible because to make a nuclear explosion, you have to take the nuclear core, which is stored in a different part of the plane, and then drop it into a hole for the nuclear core. But this is called a broken arrow. Also the title of not a terrible, a mediocre John Travolta movie about a stolen nuke. There have been 32 broken arrow incidents, which is what they call it when a nuclear weapon gets loose, gets dropped, goes missing. South Carolina, I think they dropped one. One, they never found the guts of the frickin' weapon. It dropped into a swamp in one of the Carolinas. But this was one of the times. And I just think it's interesting that my dad, who was not the most alert guy in the world, was in charge of a city killer bomb. We've talked about it before, but I did a little bit more research, and these were the largest nuclear weapons ever flown around. They were insane.
I had an experience where I knew. I don't know how much I can tell you. I'm gonna try and keep this person's name secret.
Is this a military official you know?
I know somebody that was in charge of the whole thing, and his IQ was 135. So your IQ is 60 points higher.
In a good year. I don't know if it's that high. I mean, I've been vaxxed 8 times.
Thank God you're not in charge. But the one thing I will say about this person is that he was very even keeled, very calm guy, very relaxed. And I used to think, how could a guy that relaxed have a job with such, dramatic, grave consequences to the world? And I realized it's exactly who you want. Someone that is sleepy, relaxed, doesn't get excited.
So we've seen that in a million movies, and it happened at least once where we were spared a nuclear confrontation with Russia because the Russian guy in charge of deciding whether we had launched nukes against Russia in the 80s was like, nah, it's probably a mistake. Let's wait a while.
Yeah,
see
that
what
was
happens.
that was a real incident. That wasn't a movie.
Right.
That really
That
happened.
really happened.
Yeah, and the guy was in a submarine. He was.
No,
he-
was it a
he-
submarine?
Yeah,
I
they were
thought-
arguing. They were arguing whether to shoot off their nuclear missiles that they had in the Soviet submarine.
But we've
And he said, no, let's not do it.
But we've seen there's a Ben Affleck movie, the Sum of All Fears, where he plays. So many people have played frickin' Jack Ryan, like 6 people so far. I don't. Anyway, where Jack Ryan gets everybody to be cool and wait. But that's a very common scene where it looks like nukes are flying, and like you're waiting to see if somebody's gonna. Anyway.
Well, I hope that, Nixon said that the Chinese were willing to lose half their population if they could win a nuclear war. And
Now the Chinese don't need to win via nuclear war; they can just win by.
Giving Biden $40 million?
No, not by
'Cause
doing
that's
that.
what
By
they
having
did.
4 times. No bullshit. But
Well,
by
they
having
did.
4 times our population, by taking the population off of the farms into the cities, where they now have something like 210 cities in China have more than 1 million people in them. And these are manufacturing and technology cities. And all right, let's talk about something.
So whose turn is it right now? Is it mine? You're Rick?
All right, so let's talk about so on a different Mark, our producer produces like a ton of shows, like probably, I don't know, 20 hours of shows a week, which is a phenomenal number. And on another show of his where I was among the panel, we were talking about Gaza versus Ukraine because Sasha, another panelist, argues, I think rightly, that people have forgot 2 years into the Ukraine war, we've forgotten about Ukraine. 21,000 Gazans have been killed. Among them, I don't know, probably 8,000 children. I don't know how they define children, but
I can tell you how they define it.
All
The Hamas defines anybody under 19 as a child.
Okay, all right.
Most of their soldiers are under 19.
All right. So, but all right. But our media is bad about. We've got a short attention span, and our media has a short attention span. And I would like somebody to do a story about. Yeah, it's obviously terrible that 8,000 Gazan kids have been killed, but you could do a story about how many Ukrainian kids have been killed, and it's probably 5 times that many.
There is a claim that the Ukrainians have lost 500,000 people.
No, I don't buy that. I think that's but I've seen credible sourcing that on both sides there have been 500,000 injured and killed, and I haven't looked for other sources with other numbers, but
so what's your point?
Yeah, we shouldn't forget about Ukraine just because what's happening in Gaza. The Russians are, as Russians have this unnecessary aggression against Ukraine that is chewing up tons of Ukrainians and Russians for no good reason.
All right. Well, I've been saying for months now that the Ukrainians need to start negotiating because I think I understand what the Democrats were planning with Ukraine.
Not everything is a Democratic Party plot.
Yeah, it is. They're evil, and you just do what they say. So, I mean, you're not evil. You just do what they say. And so what happened is the Democrats, before Putin invaded, Kamala Harris went to Ukraine and actually said, we're going to try to get you into NATO, which would mean that America would have NATO bases an hour and a half from Moscow.
Do you have a source for that?
Do I have to remember every source every time I hear anything? Yes,
Well,
look
no,
it up.
because this is the
You look it
second
up.
time you're bringing it up.
I know, she did that. I remember hearing about it at the time. Oh, so you're going to look it up while I'm talking?
Yeah, I am, because
Okay.
I got a computer. I can do that.
So the point is that that doesn't mean that.
By the way, I know how to pronounce computer, but it's more fun to say computer.
Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is that the Russians, when the Russians invaded, I think that the Democrats were hoping that Ukraine would be like Israel, in that Israel with Western weapons is able to fight off 10 times their number of Arabs. And I think that the Democrats were hoping that Ukraine would be able to fight off the Russians, and that this would be a big defeat. But it turns out that in spite of the weapons that we've given Ukraine, they can't manage the Russians. They can't.
Just blew up a battleship yesterday.
Okay, well, they're not going to be able to dislodge the Russians from Ukraine. And it's not going to be a stunning victory. It's not going to be like Israel and the Arabs. And the intelligent thing for them to do would be to try to negotiate to cut their losses. It won't be a defeat. It won't be that they have to give up their sovereignty of their country, but they're going to have to make a deal at some point, because the Russians, they can't handle the Russians. The Russians are beating them, and they're occupying 20% of their territory, and they're
17%.
and they're not going to be dislodged, Rick. So what Trump and the Republicans are saying is that it's time to start negotiating, unless you want to lose another 500,000, because you have to face reality. They're not going to turn this into a big victory.
So I see no evidence that Kamala Harris invited.
Okay.
And which would have been a ridiculous thing for her to do.
Well, she did. So that's what you
just
guys
looked
do.
for. I don't see.
I know you didn't see it. I saw it.
Then you find it. When
I
we
don't.
take a
We do
break.
not have time on the break to find that. I'll look at it. I'll talk. I'll
All
tell
right,
you
for
next week.
time. The next time we have our
Yeah,
yell fest.
but it doesn't matter. Now, is it my time?
Well, you said because it does matter.
No, it
because
doesn't matter, because
it does matter because
if I give you a source that isn't Rachel Maddow, you don't believe it.
well, it depends. Like if you give me Epoch Times, or if you give me Breitbart, then what I have to do is Breitbart will cite a source, and I'll trace it back. And if you can, I'll take a garbage source.
I remember seeing her talking.
So I did find a story saying that she sent out a tweet that she ended up deleting in 2022. I think after the war had already started, that implied that Ukraine was part of NATO, and obviously she deleted it because it's not part of NATO. But I don't think a mistaken tweet started the war.
I don't think so either. But
anyway,
but that does show you where her mind was at. I mean, you found a source. Thanks, Rick.
So
it's my time now, and all right. So this is what I wanted to talk about on the last show, which was 20 minutes ago. Rick had told me that I had won the argument. He told me to savor my victory on the immigration argument.
No, on just one aspect.
On one aspect,
and a ton of women are that get raped on the way up to our southern border.
Okay, so really, actually, in your mind, Biden is doing a great job on illegal immigration. So I didn't have a victory. You still believe exactly what you believed an hour ago.
I wouldn't call it, I guess, if forced to think about it in those terms, no, Biden's not doing a great job.
Okay, well, that's fantastic, because I would like to talk about the fact that the polls are now showing Trump possibly winning in a landslide. And there are 4 reasons for this. Immigration, illegal immigration the American people are furious about this. They're furious about Biden's defeat in Afghanistan. They know that inflation is making their lives miserable. And most of them believe that Biden has been taking bribes. Now, Rick may argue that no, Biden isn't taking bribes. Everything's just fine. But the American people don't believe that anymore. The weight, the slow dribble of information about
you guys are Benghazi.
Well, no, I've showed actual checks that went from a Chinese company to Biden, that didn't convince Rick.
They didn't. Though.
They did. The check went to Joseph Biden from a Chinese company.
No, it didn't.
The Chinese company gave the money to Hunter Biden, and then Hunter Biden's company sent the money to Joseph Biden.
So the check from the Chinese company did not. So Hunter Biden, between jobs, has.
I was going to make a point, but go ahead.
When you say that a Chinese company, you just said it, sent a check to Joe Biden. They didn't.
Yes, they did.
They did not. You just said it. You just said the Chinese company sent a check to Hunter Biden, who then sent a check to Joe Biden. So when you said that the Chinese company sent it to Joe Biden,
direct. They
could just freaking lie in the most transparent way.
Rick, if your daughter opens a shell company, and the shell company gets millions of dollars from China, and then that shell company sends the money directly to you, you're being bribed by the Chinese.
But you just lied and said that the Chinese sent a check to Joe Biden.
They sent it to a company that sent it to Biden. That's not lying.
So the money...
There was a middleman.
No, it's pretty much lying.
No, it's not lying. There was a middleman. So look, it's a shell company.
Biden.
What did
how
Hunter
much
Biden?
Money? How big was the check?
It was $200,000, and he got many of them. It was on a regular basis to Joseph Biden. It went to his house.
No, I'm not. No, so
I showed the people the check a week ago. The last time we did the show, I had to put my computer in front of the camera.
No, that computer showed a check
to
that said loan repayment.
No, that was another one. There are more. There are a lot. That was another one. That was a month ago. This one was just a payment. It didn't say loan repayment at all. It was just money for Joe Biden. I don't want to have to look it up again, Rick. But the point is, I was trying to say that the corruption is one of the 4 main reasons that the American
there's
people...
no actual corruption. That you guys...
the actual corruption is that Biden has received millions upon millions of dollars from shell companies from communist countries.
But he hasn't.
Yes,
you guys,
he has.
No, he hasn't.
I'm not lying. You're lying.
You're taking flimsy evidence.
No, I'm taking checks. I'm
Flimsy
taking actual checks.
No.
Actual checks from companies that gave
there have been no substantiated payments.
Yes, there have been. The checks were cashed.
Biden.
Yes, they were.
From any of these companies.
They were directly from the companies that were given the money from the communist Chinese.
But none of those checks went to Joe Biden.
Yes, they did. They had his name on it. They went to his house with his address.
Bullshit. Now, so sometimes Hunter Biden was using the Biden address as his when he was...
No, this is when he was living in California. They went to his house in Delaware. They actually analyzed the time because they knew people like you would make up these shitty arguments.
No, it's you guys with the shitty arguments. The checks were to Hunter Biden.
No, they were to a company that then sent the money to Joe Biden, his father.
None of this has been substantiated.
Yes, it has. We've got the checks. We've got the dates of the checks. We've got emails from Hunter saying send the money. Yes, we do. I've seen them. I read them myself. We have
Then
screenshots from
you're
his
drawing the
phone.
wrong conclusions because
He said that he was sitting next to his father, and that if they didn't start sending the money, that his father, Joe Biden, would start doing vengeful actions against them.
this is just lies. And
No, it's not
bullshit.
lies. I read it. It's a text. It was, they enlarged it giant so that everyone in the country but you could see it in the Senate floor.
No, it's
No, it was the
bullshit.
House of Representatives.
It's bullshit.
Well, I think it's not bullshit.
Okay.
Okay.
So we
have
should move
we
on
have-
from
no, no. Well, the point I'm trying to make is because Biden keeps taking bribes.
He does.
Because-
Hold on. Now I get to say some shit for a second.
No, wait a minute. You just
No,
kept-
no.
I didn't get to say. This is my 11 minutes. I'm going to finish my point.
No,
We just argued. You got to argue. I'm going to finish my point. You just derailed me, but I'm going to finish my point. It turns out that Biden is now behind Trump in every state, except for he's behind him in all 7 swing states. Now, if you throw in JFK Jr., Marianne Williamson, and a couple other Democrats running for office, running for president, Biden goes down to being behind Trump by 7 points. He's now the most unpopular president in American history at this point in his in his term. Nobody's ever gone this low before. So
that's
Nixon was lower right at the point he resigned. But what they do is they take at the 3-year mark for a president to win re-election, he has to be in the 40s, 50s, 60s. Biden is in the low 30s now.
So,
and I'm saying that regardless, you are one of the, and also, by the way, over a majority of Democrats now believe that Biden should step aside and have somebody else run.
I'm biased, of course, right?
You're brainwashed. You're more than biased.
Let's just say biased for the sake of argument. But I'm also a math guy, and maybe it's wishful thinking, but I'm not buying what the polls are saying.
Well, these are the same polls. This was on CNN.
Yeah, I still don't. Because I don't think the polls are very good anymore. And I'm putting my money where my opinion is.
You told me in 2020 that the polls predicted correctly that Trump would lose. That was one of your main arguments, was that there couldn't have been any voter fraud because the numbers were the same as the polls, and the polls said Biden would win. That you've been making that argument for 2 years.
Yeah, I have been, but I now think that the polls are. I mean, they weren't great then, and I think they're crappier.
Because the average American loved the defeat of in Afghanistan. We loved that.
That was in the polls when Biden's popularity tanked.
Yes.
It was the precipitating.
The people remember that. It was only 2.5 years ago.
I don't think it's at the forefront of people's minds.
I think they can remember 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, they can, but I don't think it's the biggest concern they have.
Well, it might be the inflation, the 9 million illegal immigrants.
So anyway,
or that Biden has been taking
I keep making, so Biden.
So, I mean, there's got to be some reason why they don't like Biden. Is it because people are being unfair to him?
I don't think that the polls, I think that Biden's that when people really have to make a choice, I don't think they'll choose Trump for the most part. And I don't think the polls reflect what Americans actually think so much.
And why is that?
Because nobody 20 years ago, apparently about 1 person in 3 would say when cold called, 1 person in 3 would say, yeah, I'll take a political poll. Now it's less than 1 person in 500 will say yes to a poll. That's a huge change. And that means that you have to be a little weird to say yes. It's more likely that you're a weirdo when you say yes to a poll. And because it's so hard to get people to say yes to a poll, that a lot of polling companies now have a polling pool. Instead of getting new people to take a poll, they've assembled a group of 2,000 people or so who get paid every time they take a poll, and they poll these people over and over. So if that group of people is not reflective of America, then that not reflective group gets polled again and again every couple weeks or so. And I'm not buying what the polls are saying.
Okay.
And
you bought them when they showed Biden would win.
I'm saying I think that it's when they say that Trump's popularity has remained at roughly 40% for the entire time that Trump is that he's been polled, which has been since 2015 for the past more than 8 years. I buy that there's still some reasonable truth in that. I'm not buying that his popularity has gone up from 39% to 42% over the past couple months, but I do buy that a majority of Americans don't like Trump.
Well, let's say he's at 40%.
Okay.
And then Biden Biden won by about 3% last time, I would say.
7 million votes he won by.
But I'm saying it was something like 53 to 49 or 52 to 40 to 50, something like that. It was a small percentage. The third party candidates, JFK Jr. is predicted to take 10%. So if JFK Jr. runs, you can't win. Even if Biden, even if Trump
depends on who he takes the votes from.
He takes them from Biden.
Okay, so, but that's I don't. So I keep betting. I mean, all I can tell you is what I'm doing with my gambling money. And for every dollar you put on Biden, you get back $3. The dollar you put back, another $2 if Biden gets elected. And every couple days I'll put down a little bit more on Biden because we get closer to the election, and I still think he's going to pull it out. So that's all I can tell you is.
Okay, whose turn is it now? Is that it? Mark?
You tell me again and everything. And like I said, last time I had that lighthearted question that I did not get to, and it is actually dealing with the illegal aliens and all along those lines. And then I did have a question about a famous celebrity that celebrated a birthday, and we'll talk about that person in a minute as well. But in terms of this notion of illegal aliens, you know that there are some people, and y'all have talked about it on the show before, that literally think that there are aliens here on the earth as well. So for both you, Rick, and you, Lance, how will we deal with the aliens, assuming that the aliens are actually in the earth and all in that space? Or are we going to try to give them voting rights? And how are we going to deal with the aliens that some people say exist?
I don't buy that space aliens have visited Earth. I assign it an extremely low probability that any civilization powerful enough to travel, and not just powerful enough, but long-lived enough, because it would take hundreds of thousands of years to get to us, that any civilization that could last that long can create and simulate any kind of whatever, they can get whatever they want in their own solar system, and that they would explore the rest of the galaxy looking for novelty that they couldn't simulate at home, I find unlikely. You know, there are a lot of.
Do you want?
Go ahead.
Okay, I believe in them. We had congressional hearings. I thought that was over. The skepticism. The congressional hearings said that They call them UAPs now.
Identified.
I don't know what
I don't know,
that
but
stands for, but they had Navy films from Navy pilots saying that with images, and they say the Defense Department admitted that they don't know what they are.
Right, but none of them are indisputably a spaceship. They could.
That they don't know what they are, but
no,
the
but
point
they,
is they're,
when things in the sky move contrary to the laws of physics, it's less likely that it's an alien spacecraft that's learned to defy the laws of physics. It's less likely that it's that than it's a weather phenomenon or some kind of optical illusion, from the sun bouncing off of clouds, or it's most of the, if not all of the, alien spacecraft phenomena are accountable for by just like atmospheric effects.
Before we get to the music, and I know we're going to get to the music very shortly, earlier before we started taping these shows, and I know we got one more to go and everything, I was actually watching a special, and it was actually aired earlier, but a legendary performer is celebrating his 98th birthday. So I was wondering, particularly to you, Lance, if you had any thoughts or warm wishes for Dick Van Dyke, because apparently Dick Van Dyke is 98 years old and has done a lot of pioneering work in the television land and in dancing and a number of other things. So I didn't know if you had any wonderful words or thoughts around Dick Van Dyke, because I'm thinking your father might have even worked with him.
I saw him dance. Die. Yeah, and we're going to see him die pretty soon. But I saw him dance like a year ago. He can still dance.
He still goes to the gym.
Yeah, does he?
Yeah, he got like a little car wreck in the gym parking lot.
But I think it's really exciting that he's continued, and I think it's. I don't think there's any question now that 98 isn't what it used to be. I think everybody's living longer, and we're seeing the results of diet and exercise and good medical treatment. And I think we can expect to see a lot more people living vigorously into their 90s.
It might also help that he's got a 40-year-old younger wife and everything. I think there's one of the largest age gaps in the marital status between him and his wife and everything. So
well, that's what I keep telling the 20-year-old girls that I meet. That things are changing. I'm not just an old man anymore.
Ruga de amor, santuario and a lot of thousand candles, so baby, you're Haruka. Chitty Macho Original. Stay tuned for our last and final episode, but you can scroll down and watch more episodes. Bam!
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
Black don't crack, they say. But it can. I can. We all can. Reach out to a friend if you see them going through it. Learn how to help at seizetheawkward.org.
In our daily lives, we make many decisions. Life is made up of choices that may seem insignificant at the time, but add up and affect our lives in the biggest ways. Like the health of your heart. Heart disease is the #1 killer of women. Making the right choices can reduce your risk. Choose to see your doctor. Choose fresh, not fried. Choose to walk. Choose to live. Make the choice to beat heart disease at goredforwomen.org.
Hi, Richard. How you doing?
Ahoy, Jennifer. Lovely to see you. I'm so excited we're partnering on Virgin Voyages.
Yeah, I'm really excited too, but I was thinking that maybe before we announce it, that we should decide on my official title at Virgin Voyages.
Yes, and I already have a few options for you.
Okay.
What about something catchy like, don't be fooled by the ship that I got. I'm now Jenny from the dock.
Okay.
Dame Jennifer Lopez.
Isn't there like paperwork and like a sword involved?
Supreme Goddess of Mermaids.
You know what? Let's just tackle the title thing later. I'm just excited to share our gorgeous ships with the whole world.
Okay. Look, I'll brainstorm a little more and catch up soon on it. Mermaid in Manhattan?
The only trick you need to save time and money is to shop at Aldi. Aldi. Shop differently. Limitless length plus volume. Sensational from every angle. New Lash Sensational Sky High Mascara. Only from Maybelline, New York. Everything that touches your baby should be this comforting. Pamper Swaddlers. The #1 choice of hospitals is 2 times softer. All right, Trivago. Find me a hotel somewhere in Thailand where I can wake up with a view of the ocean. Awesome. The future. It's impossible to see. And when it's finally here, it might not be what you'd expect. It might just be better. Introducing Luxury Electric. Introducing Lucid Air. We're for those who love to discover, who don't need to travel to find something new, and who know when you spend less, you can discover even more at TJ Maxx and Marshalls. Smooth, velvety chocolate wrapped in precious gold. Ferrero Rocher.
Naked at Night with Lance, Rick, JD, Mark, though I'm getting less and less naked as the night goes on because it's winter here in LA. It's probably 55 degrees outside, which is winter by LA standards. So we just found out that Lance has a piano in here because somebody didn't have enough room for it. And pianos, my mom passed away, and we donated her piano. And pianos are not worth as much as you'd think because they're big furniture, and 94% of the wealth, privately held wealth in America, is held by people 45 years old and older. The younger people just don't have a lot of assets. That boomers own everything, including like houses. And if you watch Antiques Roadshow, they'll compare what like a big, they call it brown furniture, which is these grandma furniture, is worth less now than it was worth 15 years ago. You know, these big, beautiful antiques made out of mahogany, because younger people don't have any place to put grandma furniture. And income inequality is a problem. And, you know, it's another issue that, you know, that Lance was talking about, how Dick Van Dyke's 98 and that more and more people are going to be living that long. And it used to be that people dying younger meant that assets got turned over. And the longer people live, that's one more issue with income inequality, that you can't inherit from people who don't die. Lance?
I know that during the COVID lockdown, it was the most massive transfer of wealth. I don't know. I won't say in our history. I don't know the exact numbers.
Probably
would. It was dramatic transfer of wealth because the Democrats managed to destroy so many small businesses, and to take up the slack, their donors, the big companies, managed to take over. Like Amazon took over from so many small businesses. So the lockdown was incredibly damaging to the fabric of American society. And I will never forgive the Democrats for doing that. As far as income inequality goes, I don't believe in income equality. I think that because I'm a capitalist, I think the best system is where people are rewarded unequally, because in any society, as long as the situation is fair, those who work harder or are luckier or are more skillful will end up getting more money. And I think that that's kind of the way it needs to be in order for life to, in order for the economy to grow and function. I don't believe in redistributing wealth so that everybody gets an equal amount, but I do believe in fairness. So I think there should be scholarships for worthy young people that are poor but can't afford to go to college. I think that there should be a safety net for people that can't afford medicine or food because they could go under. But one of the problems that we're facing, Jordan Peterson has brought this up, is that a good solid 10% of the United States IQs, the lowest 10%, really don't have any way of contributing to society whatsoever. They're actually going to just have to live off welfare. So that's what I think.
All right. So I would say that COVID was incredibly destructive to American society. The deadliest event in our nation's history in terms of number of dead, roughly 1.5 million dead, more than all of our wars combined. And it accelerated problems with retail. I mean, it's a hellacious time. The past decade has been a hellacious time for retail because of technology And I see a shifting of it's not that the lowest, well, all right, technology makes it more and more challenging for undereducated and maybe, less skilled people. But technology also makes it less and less expensive to provide the necessities of life, food, clothing, eventually shelter, that we'll be able to provide for. It's not frickin' communism if providing people with the necessities of life costs virtually nothing. So I believe that capitalism will change, and that we're going to move into an era that I call computism, where our economy will be increasingly built around information processing and technology. And this will make it possible for everybody to have a decent standard of living, regardless of whether, they're super talented or super lucky. All right, I want to talk about the road to computism, because I just read an article by Cory Doctorow, who is very good at thinking about the future, who thinks that AI might be a bubble. And he reminds us of the dot-com bubble of 23 years ago, when everybody thought they were going to become millionaires, including myself and my writing partner, by having a popular website. And this turned out to not be true in the year 2000, and there was a crash. But now we all spend our time living on the internet. So there was a crash. A lot of people lost a ton of money. There was a big shakeout, but eventually we did all end up spending way too much time on the internet. And Doctorow says, I don't know exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about AI, and neither do most people. But AI, making AI intelligent, which it really isn't yet, is incredibly expensive. But it takes tens of thousands of people working millions of hours, turning the world into data that can be processed by AI. And the other article I read on AI talks about the tens of thousands of people who are doing things like, for 50 cents an hour in Africa, going through millions of photos that include people wearing shirts and then circling the shirts and then adding keywords to the shirts like striped or blue or plaid or collarless, so that AI can develop a big data reference base as to what a shirt is or what a collarless shirt is. So when you type something in, show me Teddy Roosevelt, driving a speedboat wearing a collarless shirt and cargo shorts, the AI can, within a couple seconds, give you that photo, that fake photo that looks pretty good.
This question, why are they in Africa doing this?
Because that's where it's cheap. And also, like East Asia, wherever you can hire people for almost no money to process the data. But even so, it costs billions of dollars to make AI smart. And the versions of AI that we use, the chat bots and the art bots and whatever, are just little toy versions of this big AI that are fun and often impressive and scary, but that the big AI that could actually do stuff costs so much that it may not be cost effective, and that there may be a bursting of the AI bubble as corporations realize this. So the the era of super smart AI that kicks everybody's ass may not be just around the corner. There may have to be a crash, and then, what looks 2 years away may turn out to be 8 or 10 years away.
I don't know what to think of AI. As I say, everybody calls me up and says, Lance, you're going to be out of business because AI makes everyone an artist, because people can put together, they can type in a painting of someone reading their cell phone in the manner of Da Vinci. And then they come up with this image, and it looks very impressive. But,
it doesn't just come up with, it comes up with 8, and then you pick the best one from that and say, I like this one the best, but can you do, and you work through it. So it's perfect.
But what I always tell people is that, because this is the only time I ever encounter AI, this is my experience, I say, look, you end up with something you're looking at on the internet. I've been saying my whole life that an oil painting is not what you see on a screen. It doesn't matter if it's a movie or an AI generated image or something illustrated with a digital paintbrush, or if it's a photograph of an oil painting. It's still not an oil painting. You're still looking at
an oil painting is a wonderful thing. You just did an oil painting of what kind of dog?
I don't know. You want me to bring out the dog?
Bring out the dog. It's beautiful.
Oh, Jesus, Rick.
Okay, so
this is the most sinister argument.
Lance does not like to take pet commissions because he doesn't want to become known as the guy who does pet commissions. He doesn't want that to be his career. But here comes the most beautiful frickin' dog you're gonna see. And should we do another topic while Lance is retrieving the dog? We can talk a little bit more about Ukraine. Right now, Russia holds 17% of Ukraine. It's a strip of land, a curved strip about 470 miles long by about 80 miles wide. It's like you sliced off 1/4 of California. And it's been stalemated for a month or two, but it doesn't necessarily look at this frickin' Weimaraner. That's a Weimaraner, right? I'm guessing.
No, those are gray, I think.
But it's got kind of a.
Else. Anyway, I don't
you
know
got to
if
get
you
it
can see
closer.
Oh,
We got to
okay.
get it lit right. You got to get it lit right.
But the lights
No, we got to swing. Can you swing
Here,
the?
you swing the light over. I'll hold the painting. Just make sure the light's in front of it.
There you go. Look at that dog. Beautiful frickin' dog. And
The light's gonna fall if you don't.
okay, I'm gonna put the light back.
No, it's well.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's
Careful,
tactile.
careful. Make sure
Yeah,
that
yeah,
this is in the same direction as the foot.
Okay, okay. So there will always be a place for oil paintings, but there will also be a place for a trillion, quickly, you type some words in and AI gives you, a fairly, beautiful piece of machine art. All right, Lance, what else? Anyway, we have to keep supporting Ukraine. Ukraine, as I said, just blew up a battle. All right, you're back.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
talk louder.
Iran, our director asked, isn't Iran kind of effing with the U.S. via proxies? Yeah, the Houthis out of, is it Syria or Yemen? Yemen. Yeah, but Iran and Russia, they're the bad guys in the world right now. I mean, they if you consider the Western democracies good, which I do, Iran and Russia are the bad guys, and China's a semi-bad guy in that China's rich and they can just slide assets over. Anyway, go ahead.
So one of the reasons I'm not voting for Biden, one of the reasons I'm voting for Trump is, and I've said this last week, but it bears repeating, Trump had Iran on the verge of collapse. They were revolting in the streets against the Iranian government, the mullahs. And the reason is that Trump had severe sanctions against them. Sanctions are like this. He would say any country that does business with Iran can't do business with the U.S. And he would target these sanctions very, very carefully so that Iran was almost wiped out economically. But when Biden took office, he allowed all of he normalized all relations economically with Iran. He removed all the sanctions, and he even gave Iran two payments, one of $6 billion,
which has been frozen.
And then a week ago, he gave him $10 billion. So this is while they're killing our people.
I don't buy that.
I know, but Rick's argument is very intelligent. It's that he doesn't believe me. So
I know the $6 billion in Iran's assets that the U.S. unfroze, that was very quickly frozen again.
Okay,
but hold on. I don't buy.
What about the sanctions against Iran? Do you maintain that Trump didn't have sanctions, but Biden does?
I believe you that Trump had sanctions against Iran.
Do you remember all the protests around the country? Do you remember they were protesting?
They protested under Obama. They protested under Bush II. They protested under Trump, and they had the biggest protests ever under Biden, because of the head covering murders by the Iranian police, and Iran has not fallen under any of them.
Well, they were in their lowest point economically under the Trump sanctions, and Biden removed all the sanctions. We're now fully doing business with Iran. He also, by the way, the Trump administration had found Confucius organizations, they called them, around the country where the Chinese were bringing in spies all around the country. They put them in what they called Confucius Institutes, which were in every city and in many universities. And Trump put a stop to it, and Biden let him open them up again.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Okay. Is it my time now?
Why not?
So how much time do I have? 8 minutes? I found out something very interesting. I found out something very interesting this week because the Democrats, when they take over a city, one of the things they do is they stop enforcing the vagrancy laws. The Democrats passed a law through the state Supreme Court, or through the Ninth Circuit Court, that it's legal to sleep on the street. It's one of your rights. And so when the Democrats take control of the city, homelessness explodes. So San Francisco and LA are almost unlivable. If Rick and I were to drive 20 minutes from our locations, we could be in vast areas that look worse than India. I have friends from India who say this looks worse than anything we have in India.
We have Skid Row downtown.
No, we don't have Skid Row downtown. It's metastasized so that almost the vast surrounding areas of Skid Row are now exactly like Skid Row. I've had to go down there, and it's like driving through a war zone, and it only gets worse. The Democrats, I have been trying to figure out why it benefits the Democrats to do this. because under Republican leadership, they try to stop it. They enforce the vagrancy laws. They try to take people off the streets in a variety of ways. And there are some simple solutions I've mentioned many times, that you could use army barracks, you could bring back the ability to put people in mental asylums if they can't cope with life. You could, and there's plenty of money to put into building facilities, both mental and just regular holding facilities. We've keep allocating the funds, but for some reason nothing ever gets done. And I've been trying to figure out for years. I know I've identified the problem as something that the Democrats do, but I don't know what their motivation is. Why would they want to destroy every city they take over? And Alex Villanueva, who is a Democrat, by the way, former sheriff in LA, actually was giving a speech this week, which I listened to. I was fascinated by it. And I love Villanueva because he was a great sheriff. He cleaned up Venice Beach. He took all the homeless off Venice Beach, which was great. You know, Venice is a tourist area. It's a beach, for those of you that don't know, and it was just wiped out. No one could go there. The stores were all closed. The beach was horrifying because the homeless had just taken over Venice. And so he just cleaned it up. He said, look, if the city council isn't going to do anything, I'll do something. And he cleaned up the area. And so to get even with him, the Democrats put all their resources into getting rid of him. So he was taken out of office, and now he's running for supervisor, which would give him the power that he didn't have as sheriff. And they asked him, why is it that the Democrats don't do anything about the homeless problem? It just gets worse every year. And he said that they have deals with their donors. They have people giving them millions of dollars to, quote unquote, have the contract to stop homelessness, to build facilities, to send people out to take care of the homeless, giving them food and water or whatever. And it's all wildly inflated. The money that their donors are getting, these organizations are getting, is wildly inflated. And they keep the money, and then they give the money back to the Democrat politicians for their campaigns. And that's why the problem never gets solved, because these people don't want homelessness to stop, because they're getting rich helping them, quote unquote, helping them. Now, the second reason I bring this up is because a couple of years ago, I met a guy that told me this, and he said the reason he knew it was because his family was one of those companies that was charged to help the homeless and was actually making a fortune and then paying off the politicians to keep doing it. And I said, well, that's very interesting, but I just have your word, and I can't really, you could be lying. And now it turns out that the former sheriff, Alex Villanueva, says that's exactly what's happened. And yeah, he said it this week.
All right, so let me respond. So not everything is entirely a conspiracy. That may be some aspect that's going on. LA has, according to reports, has more homeless people than any other city in the United States. At least 30,000 homeless. But one reason is that if you're going to be homeless, LA is a nice place to be homeless. Like I said, we're in deep winter here, and it's dropped down to 54 degrees.
They don't have them in Miami. In the cities in Florida, they've cleaned up homelessness.
We also have a ton of drug rehab centers. That may be one of the donors you're talking about, that if you have a drug problem and could get somebody to fund your rehab, you might be put on a plane or a bus from Ohio out to LA. But I've heard, and I don't know if this is accurate, it sounds ridiculous, but they'll pay your way out here, but they won't pay your way back. And once you're discharged, you're just in LA. I own it. And yeah, there are some bad places in LA, and there are some terrible places in San Francisco. But Fox News likes to harp on, I'm going to slightly shift the subject, likes to harp on crime. Crime is at a 30-year low across America. That it reached its peak in 1990, 1991, 92 under the first George Bush and the beginning of Clinton, and then declined precipitously under Clinton, and has remained at historic lows for the past decade, with a COVID bump up in 2020, but it's since declined back down and dropped another 6% from 2022 to 23.
I don't believe it. Now here's where I say I don't believe it, because
Okay.
I've heard that murder is going up, or especially in places like New York, crime is as bad as it ever has been. I've heard all kinds of numbers saying that particularly the fact that the Democrats have removed the bail system, so that the Democrats said that it was unequal for people to have to pay for bail. So because poor people are disproportionately affected by that, so they're releasing people without having to ask them to pay bail. So there's also when you say crime is going down,
Violent crime.
Okay, in LA, if you shoplift less than $900, they don't even prosecute you. So all kinds of businesses have gone under. San Francisco, the restaurants are closing. All the famous, beautiful places, the giant companies are closing because they can't control the shoplifting. The Democrats just let the people go without having to keep them for bail, and also minor crimes they're not enforcing. The Democrats also stopped funding the police as much as the Republicans were, and so there's less fear of the police even catching you. So, and by the way, anybody that doesn't believe that the Democrats have turned California into a hellhole, just come with me. Come here. I'll take you on a tour. We only have to drive 15 minutes from where I am or from where Rick is, and you can drive for a half an hour. For a half an hour just without seeing anything but homeless people. I'm not saying you drive through homeless people for 5 minutes. I'm saying you can drive through homeless people. Vast swaths of the city are like the worst ghettos in Calcutta, where you can turn the block, keep driving, even get on the freeway, get off the freeway, and you'll still be among homeless encampments. And this is the world that Rick wants to bring to you.
I don't want to bring it.
He just keeps voting for people that create that situation. It was not like this under the Republicans. So, Rick, I hope you're proud.
Well, it started, hold on 1 second, Mark, 1 sec. But I would say that this is part of the problem is technological displacement of people. But tech costs people jobs, is changing the economic landscape. And it's not because Democrats are mayors. It's because the world is changing.
It's because Democrats won't enforce the vagrancy laws.
And I got to say, and you'll say it's bullshit, the mental health people, the release of those people to the streets started under Reagan, Governor Reagan.
I know, and since Governor Reagan, there have been 14 Democrat governors that did virtually nothing.
All right, let's go to Mark.
Yeah, about time to wrap up on this particular series and everything. But one thing I was going to just point out to Lance really quickly before I get to my question, because I looked it up. Florida is actually ranked third in homelessness right now and everything. So Florida is actually third.
There are some cities, Mark, where there is no homelessness, and it's because they have good Republican mayors.
That's a possibility, but I just saw that the state itself was third, and there is some in North Carolina as well. But this weekend, and this is my question for us as we wrap up for 2023, is here in the Triangle, in the capital city of Raleigh, we're going to drop an acorn. I know that other states will have other things that they'll be dropping as well. I believe they're going to drop a cherry T-ball in Traverse City, Michigan. They might even be dropping a sardine in, of all places, in Maine, which is, of course, a beach town. And I think they're going to drop
talking about the New Year's ball
in New Mexico and all along those lines. So definitely they'll be dropping different things as we go into the new year. So I'm going to actually give the two of you a great opportunity to say what your wish is for 2024, since we're getting out of 2023 and it was a turbulent year for many. So what is your wish for 2024, since that is literally just around the corner?
I wish for the Gaza-Israel war to be wrapped up as soon as possible. I wish for Ukraine to make gains against Russia. I wish for Trump to become a third-party presidential candidate.
Gotcha. Lance, your wishes for 2024?
I hope that the Israelis ignore Biden and destroy Hamas, which is what they have to do. And if it takes them, they need to take as long as they need to do it. They are not killing civilians.
Killing the shit out of civilians.
It turns out a study was done of the Israeli army, and they kill the fewest civilians of any army in history. They are very careful not to kill civilians. Rick believes Hamas. Rick's statistics come from Hamas. So Hamas is telling Rick that the Jews are killing thousands of children.
When you're dropping,
and Rick didn't even know that they count 19-year-olds as children.
When you're dropping I asked, I don't know what the definition is. When you're dropping 2,000-pound bombs from the air, those bombs have a hard time distinguishing between civilians and Hamas.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love the way the Democrats are able to turn a Jew against Israel. This is the thing I'm
not against Israel. I'm against why don't
you just mind your own business and let them destroy Hamas? Why do you have to get involved? What is it? What is compelling you? That is what is compelling you is CNN. They hate Jews, they hate Israel, and now so do you.
So they've killed 6,000 Hamas.
I don't give a shit what the numbers are. We can't know them now. We can't know them. There's no data that we can rely on until the end of the war. The Jews are going to do everything they can to not hurt civilians, and they're going to smash Hamas, which they have to do to survive. And CNN is turning you against them. Oh, the poor children. They've got you so worried about it.
They've killed a lot of kids. Actual kids. Not
Jews are kid killers now, huh? That's what the Israelis are. They kill children, and you're worried about it, right, Rick? Who told you to worry about this? Who made this an issue for you? Was it CNN? Was it Twitter? What was it? Where did this come from?
I don't know. I look at a lot of different news channels.
Do you ever listen to anybody that isn't left-wing? Because I know you take all the right-wingers off your Twitter feed. You're living in a bubble where they're brainwashing you.
You know what?
They're brainwashing you. It's dangerous.
How do you know I take all the
I've seen your Twitter feed.
What do you mean?
You live in a bubble.
No, but what do you mean you've seen my Twitter feed?
I've read your Twitter thing. You don't let Republicans argue with you, and you don't let any information in, and that's why you're worried about Israel killing children.
No, I have strict criteria about who I mute.
Okay, the criteria is this.
No, hold on.
No,
you
this
just
is
said
dangerous.
a bunch of, you just
this is
lied
dangerous.
about my.
This is dangerous. I don't want to talk about Twitter.
No, but
this
you brought it up, so you have to let me respond.
You are being brainwashed.
Bullshit. Because I have strict criteria about who I block.
Great.
If I don't block anybody.
I
mute, but like I'll mute people with small numbers of followers. Who seem like idiots.
Who made you think that Israel was killing children? Who made you think that?
The various news coverage.
Which news coverage?
I don't know. I look at a bunch of different
CNN, MSNBC,
print sources, not print, but internet, but
okay. So CNN and MSNBC want you to focus.
I'll look at BBC. I'll look at Fox.
Oh, the BBC. They want you. They're left-wing stations, and they want you to think that Israel is killing children. He's left-wing now.
Who else? But
you
just said that I. But hold on, you just said I don't let any right-wing source.
You just said that. You explained it.
Hold
I
on.
don't give a shit.
No,
it's not important.
If somebody has more than a few thousand followers, I will not mute them.
It's not
even
interesting.
If they're,
it's not interesting. I don't care.
You just told a bunch of lies.
Okay, you're great. You're great on Twitter. It's wonderful what you do with Twitter.
All right.
I love it. Now, why is it that you're listening? Why is it that these left-wing sources that you listen to, the news sources, why do they want you to focus on Israel killing children? Don't you think that's weird?
It's a numbers thing, Lance. I'm a numbers guy.
The numbers are coming from Hamas.
But the numbers, when audited, and every other time before, the Hamas numbers, they are within a couple percent of the final audited numbers.
And you didn't know that they're counting 19-year-olds and under as children. That's the age of their soldiers.
Fine,
they're lying to you. They want you to hate Israel.
So maybe they, instead of having killed 8,000 kids, if you take the age of kids down to 12, maybe it's only 5,000.
Rick, do you want them to destroy Hamas, or do you want to worry about the children?
I want Hamas to be destroyed.
How are they going to do that? They may have to kill children. What if the bomb that was meant to hit Hamas hits the child that the guy's hiding in front of? What are you going to do?
I would hope that there's a way that spares more civilian lives than airdropping.
They're doing the best they can, Rick.
Well,
they can't, because Hamas will shoot the civilians if they try to leave. The Hamas is hiding among the civilians, and they'll shoot the civilians if they. Then why are you harping on Israel?
Because they're dropping 2,000-pound bombs.
They are trying to do that because they were attacked. They killed 1,200 civilians.
Yeah.
Rick, the Democrats want you to hate Israel. Biden is the one.
I don't hate Israel.
Well, you're their worst enemy. You're their worst enemy, a brainwashed leftist. It's because of you that Biden is interfering with them when they're trying to destroy Hamas. It's because he knows people like you will back him up.
They've killed 1% of the population, and they've only wiped out a sixth of Hamas.
Okay.
What percent? How many?
I don't care. I don't care what they have to do. They do what they have to do to destroy Hamas. It's them or it's Israel.
All right, let's move on.
Time for music, and then that's the wrap of this particular series.
Hey, my New Year's resolution, Mark.
Yes.
I want to be the #1 musician on Pod TV, baby.
Go for it. I think you can do it.
Yeah, baby. wanna dance with you and oh yeah. Estoy bailando contigo en el hielo. I wanna dance with you, oh yeah. Voy bailando contigo mis sueños. I wanna dance with you in my wildest dreams. Voy bailando contigo flotando. Wanna dance with you as I float in the sky. Estoy bailando contigo en el cielo. I'm dancing with you as I float in the sky. Want to dance with you on that pie in the sky. JD Mott original. Thank you guys. Have a good night. Feliz Navidad and Happy New Year. Woo! Bam!
I won't fold, I won't drop until we on top. Only going non-stop. I won't fold, I won't drop until we on top. Only going non-stop.
I want to thank everyone for coming to the 2020 TAF Awards. This was a show like no other, people. This is the Grammys for dignitaries, educators, and support staff around the state of Oklahoma and worldwide. We cannot do this without the support of the people. So we thank you, I thank you, for being such a dedicated supporter to this movement for the Teachers Appreciation Foundation. I thank you.
I won't fold.